The stage lights blazed brightly as the young Filipino singer stepped into view, his hands trembling slightly at his sides. He had dreamed of this moment for years, watching countless contestants take this same walk, imagining the roar of the crowd and the approval of the judges. But now that he was really here, standing on the massive America's Got Talent stage, it felt almost unreal. The theater stretched endlessly in front of him, filled with thousands of faces he could barely see through the brilliance of the spotlights. Still, he could sense their expectations pressing in on him like a heavy weight. He swallowed hard and approached the marked spot at the center of the stage. The microphone stood waiting. As he wrapped his fingers around it, he felt how cold the metal was. The judges sat just a few feet away, their expressions curious. Howie leaned forward with a friendly smile. Heidi tilted her head slightly, as though trying to read his energy. Sophia glanced at him with warm encouragement. But it was Simon, arms crossed, face unreadable, who made his heart pound the hardest. The host's voice echoed from backstage, introducing him to the audience. As he stated his name, his hometown in the Philippines, and his dream of becoming a world-class singer, his voice shook ever so slightly. He could hear it, and the realization made him even more nervous. A soft ripple of supportive applause rose from the crowd, but it did little to steady his breathing. He looked down for a moment, silently reminding himself why he was here, for his family, for the people back home, for everyone who ever told him his voice was special. When he finally looked up again, the world felt still. The music cue was coming. His moment was now. The soft hum of anticipation filled the theater as the music technician signaled that the track was ready. The Filipino singer exhaled slowly, trying to release the last of his nerves. A light chord swelled from the speakers, the unmistakable opening of an Elvis Presley classic. A murmur of curiosity rippled through the audience. Attempting an Elvis song was bold. It demanded confidence, range, and soul. Simon raised an eyebrow, clearly aware of the challenge this choice carried. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. The singer's eyes were closed, his eyelashes trembling as he gathered every ounce of courage inside him. Then, with a steady breath, he opened his mouth. The first note came out strong, unexpectedly strong. Deep, smooth, and hauntingly rich, the kind of tone that felt like it belonged to an older, seasoned performer, not the shy young man standing on the stage. The sound carried through the theater with startling clarity. Audience members who had been leaning back in their seats suddenly straightened, their expressions shifting from polite attentiveness to genuine shock. A collective gasp spread through the room. Simon's reaction was immediate and unguarded, his jaw dropped slightly, his eyes widening as if someone had just flipped a switch in his head. He glanced quickly at the other judges, as if silently asking, "Are you hearing this too?" Howie's eyebrows rose in surprise, while Heidi pressed a hand to her chest, visibly moved by the purity of the voice. Sophia's smile grew wider, bright with delight. But the singer didn't see any of this. He was lost in the moment, letting the music guide him. With each passing second, his confidence grew, and his voice filled the space with emotion that felt raw and sincere. The crowd, now fully captivated, leaned in, eager to hear what he would do next. As the young Filipino singer moved into the heart of the song, something inside him shifted. What began as a nervous attempt blossomed into a performance filled with confidence and emotion. His voice, deep, velvety, and echoing with the spirit of Elvis, carried a warmth that made the entire theater feel smaller, almost intimate. Each note seemed to flow effortlessly, yet it carried the weight of his journey, the sacrifices, the late-night practice sessions, the dreams he held on to despite challenges. The audience, who had already been shocked by his opening, began reacting in waves. Some people stood up without realizing it, drawn to their feet by the strength of his delivery. A few fans near the front placed their hands over their mouths, their eyes wide with disbelief. Somewhere in the middle rows, a woman silently wiped away tears, touched by the sincerity of his voice. On the judges' panel, the transformation was unmistakable. Howie nodded rhythmically, a smile growing each time the singer hit a difficult note with precision. Heidi leaned forward, elbows on the desk, as if the music itself was pulling her closer. Sophia clapped softly in time with the beat, her expression glowing with pride. But it was Simon's reaction that truly captured the moment. His initial surprise had deepened into something far more meaningful. The usually stern judge now watched with full attention, eyes focused, posture straightened, his face showing that rare expression of genuine respect. Every so often, he shook his head slightly, as though amazed that such a powerful voice could come from someone so young and humble. The singer, completely immersed in the performance, let his voice rise and fall with emotional precision. With each line, he poured more of his soul into the song, determined to show the world that this moment was no accident. The atmosphere in the theater was electric, every note pulling the story higher, setting the stage for a truly unforgettable finale. As the song approached its final moments, the entire theater seemed to hold its breath. The Filipino singer felt the culmination of everything he had practiced rising within him, the memories of singing barefoot in his small hometown, the encouragement of his family, and the countless times he had imagined standing on a world-class stage like this. Every emotion he had ever felt seemed to gather in his chest, ready to be released with the last powerful note. The music swelled. The final line was approaching. He tightened his grip on the microphone, lifted his chin slightly, and delivered the climactic note with every ounce of strength and passion he possessed. It soared. It filled the air like a warm, resonant wave, deep and crisp, holding steady with flawless control. The note rang through the massive auditorium, echoing off the walls, vibrating through the seats, and sending chills through the audience. People shot to their feet in a single, unified motion. The applause began as a rumble and grew into a thunderous roar that shook the stage. Some fans clapped wildly, others whistled, and many simply stood frozen, stunned by the emotional power of what they had just witnessed. A few wiped tears from their cheeks, touched in ways they hadn't expected when the performance first began. On stage, the singer lowered the mic slowly, his chest rising and falling as he tried to catch his breath. His eyes glistened with tears, overwhelmed by the overwhelming response. He looked around, at the confetti-ready rafters, the shining lights, the cheering strangers, and he felt something he had never felt before, absolute belonging. The judges rose to their feet as well. Even Simon, who rarely stood unless truly moved, pushed back his chair and applauded with a quiet, stunned smile. The moment felt unreal, like a dream taking shape right before his eyes. As the applause thundered through the hall, the young Filipino singer stood trembling in the center of the stage, overwhelmed by the ocean of sound and emotion surrounding him. He could hardly process what was happening. Just minutes earlier, he had been terrified to even step into the spotlight. Now thousands of people were cheering for him as if he were already a star. His hands shook, and he blinked rapidly, fighting back tears. The moment felt too big, too bright, too beautiful to be real. The judges took their seats again, though their expressions still held amazement. Howie was the first to speak, praising the singer's courage and the richness of his voice. Heidi smiled warmly, saying his performance felt magical and unexpectedly moving. Sophia placed a hand over her heart and told him she was proud of him, as if he were family. Then all eyes shifted toward Simon. He leaned toward his microphone, studying the young man silently for a moment. The crowd hushed instantly. Simon's voice, when he finally spoke, was unusually gentle. "That," he said slowly, "was extraordinary. You have something truly special." The singer's breath caught in his throat. Before he could respond, Sophia pushed back her chair and stood. "I think this performance deserves something more," she said. The audience erupted, everyone knew what was coming. Sophia reached forward and slammed her hand onto the golden buzzer. A burst of gold exploded from above, raining down in shimmering waves. The young singer dropped to his knees, overcome with emotion. Tears streamed down his face as he covered his mouth with both hands. Confetti stuck to his hair, his clothes, even his wet cheeks, turning him into a glowing figure beneath the sparkling lights. The crowd roared. The judges stood. And in that golden storm, the singer realized. His lifelong dream had just come true.